Morning, guys. Today we're going to talk about, this podcast I heard a long time ago by a guy that I listen to often, and his name is Brian Buffini, and he had this talk back about a year and a half ago I listened to that really impacted my life, and I want to rewrite it kind of with my own stories and how it impacted me. And it's called The Power of a Made-Up Mind. Here's what Brian said about a made-up mind. He said, a made-up mind is powerful because a made-up mind will allow you to achieve goals beyond your expectation. Okay, I'm going to share some stories of my life that has transpired, major impact on me, and perhaps I can help you guys understand how this powerful concept can help you make some decisions and put you in a spot that no matter what kind of setback you have in life, that you can always move past it and achieve your goals. So I have 3 points on the made-up mind, and here are the 3 things we're going to talk about. The power of the made-up mind. Number 1, we're going to talk about how powerful a made-up mind is. Number 2, we're going to talk about the power of your decisions and how important your decisions are. And once you have a made-up mind, you have to make some decisions to do certain things, and you have to make some choices that you would make or wouldn't make in the past. And number 3, now is the time. Take massive action right now, based on what we're about to talk about. Guys, there's nothing like the power that comes from a made-up mind and the distance it takes a person. The made-up mind says, I know what I want to do, and I know exactly how to do it, and I know how to make that happen, okay? And here's the first way that you know that your mind is made up. If you have a made-up mind, you will never give up. A made-up mind never, ever gives up. Let me say that again. A made-up mind never, ever gives up. Let me tell you some things. Like a made-up mind comes from the inside. It comes from the inside out, okay? Because once you make up your mind, there's nothing that can ever stop you from accomplishing any goal. And I'm going to give you a story of my dad a long time ago when he made up his mind. We come from Armenia in the days where we lived in Armenia. Armenia was part of the Soviet Union. It was a colony of the Soviet Union, and it was under the communism of the Soviet Union. If you guys know what communism is when the government controls everything. The government controls where you live, apply for housing based on how many kids you have. They give you an apartment. They go, okay, this is your apartment. This is where you live. The government controls how much you make. Everybody works for the government, literally. I mean, doctors, cab drivers, almost everybody. There's, a little bit leeway, but most people work for the government. And the government sets your pay. Says, okay, this is how much you're going to get paid, and that's it. Okay, government gives you your cheese. Government has lines for bread. I mean, it's literally total trying to keep everybody equal, all right? The government has the power, and everybody else is equal. Back in those days, my dad, having 2 kids, me and my brother, says, I made up my mind. I'm not going to have my kids live through this. I mean, this is not the circumstance that I want to bring my children up in, where they have no opportunity whatsoever. They have to live under these circumstances because he couldn't do anything about it. That was just the way the government was. So he made up his mind back in 1975 that he's going to move us out of Armenia, bring us to America. My grandfather came in 3 or 4 years before that, and he kept calling his dad, going, Dad, you got to send me a visa. I got to get out of here. I got to get my kids out of here, right? He made up his mind. He kept putting an application in, and finally they accepted my dad's visa. Okay, my dad and mom, they sell everything they own, everything, right? And they move us to America. It's a 3 or 4 month journey to get to America. First have to go to Moscow, and then from there we got to go to Italy. We went to Rome. There was a group of people that were bringing Armenians out of Armenia. We were with other families, staying in motels or whatever the kind of housing that they were providing. And it took 3 months, literally 3 to 4 months to get here. And that was the power of my dad and his made-up mind, and an example to me of what a powerful made-up mind can do. It could pick up everybody and just take him out because he made up his mind that he was not going to live under these circumstances, nor did he want his kids to live under these circumstances. Let me tell you, a made-up mind never, ever, ever, ever gives up because your mind is made up. If you're going to give up, your mind is not made up. Giving up a mind that is made up will never give up. And I'm going to share more stories about how people perform, how technicians perform because they've made up their mind, how channels perform because they've made up their mind, and how there's no going back. Once you have a made-up mind, it's a powerful thing, and it's never ever going to set you back, and you're never going to go back. Human being with a made-up mind is a force of nature, guys, in this world. It's a force of nature. It does not matter who you are or what your circumstances are. The power of a made-up mind is that you never, ever give up. I go out in the field once in a while, right? I don't do it because I have to do it. I do it because I want to teach. I want to inspire you guys so you know that there's better ways to do it. I do it because I want to do it. Before I go out, I make up my mind. I have a made-up mind before I go out. And you know what that is? And I tell this story all the time. I was recently in the field, I think 2-3 weeks ago or a month ago. I don't remember when it was. It could have been a little over a month. But I think it was this month. I made up my mind the day before. I said, you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to find $40,000 today. 40 grand. I'm going to find it today. Took out my uniform. I usually have it folded, put away. I took it out. I ironed my shirt, my pants. I polished my boots, my black boots. I took out my uniform. I said, you know what? I looked at it the night before. I closed my eyes. I saw $40,000. I slept with that number in mind, right? I woke up, that was when we had the last tech meeting about when I was on the road doing it. I kind of didn't really give you guys a good meeting because I was driving, I think, to Fillmore to a call in Ventura County. And I just kept driving, right? And I was doing it. And all I would think about is this $40,000. Before noon that day, we had already had 2 customers where we sold steps to and was ready for an upsell. So I went back, I put some options in front of that client as soon as that, hole was dug, and one of the clients picked a $37,000 option. And then we had another client next door, another $3 grand. The first call I went out to close for about $4,000. So we were over $40,000 in one single day because I made up my mind. I made up my mind and I said, I'm not going to give up till I find this money. I was ready to work all the way until midnight if I had to that day until I found the 40 grand. And I was going to find it because my mind was made up. This is the power, guys, of a made-up mind. They say human beings only tap into 10% of their brain's capacity. 10%. We are the only ones as human beings that always the graveyard is filled with people that never made it to their full potential. People die before they've lived, guys, before they've even tapped into their full potential of what they can actually accomplish. And we're all the same, guys. If I could do it, you could do it. If another guy out there could do it, the other guy could do it. You know what the only difference is? That one person has a made-up mind and is taking massive action behind that made-up mind, and another person isn't. That's the only difference. And I'll give you an example. If I made up my mind and I'm going to hit 40 grand, all I do is think about that. I just go think about that all day. I dreamt about that at night. I thought about it the next day. The circumstances were that I was going to turn every rock until I found it, and I found it. And I've done that many times in many areas, including, areas like Phoenix or areas like Las Vegas where people said, there is no money over there. There is no money out here. All the customers are broke. All the houses are new. All of this is this. All of this is that. There's a lot of naysayers, guys, and there's a lot of people that are going to share their opinion on you. But it is up to you to accept that opinion or not. It is up to you to say, I accept that. I believe that. Or you could say, thank you very much. Delete. This is out of here. I don't need this, okay, because this is not going to help me. This is going to hold me back. Let me tell you, when you have a made-up mind, you never, ever give up. When your mind is made up, you focus on your wins. You become focused on your achievements, then not what's not working. When your mind is made up, you will become more focused on your wins and less focused on your losses. If you have kids, you could relate to this. How many times does a kid need to hear a bad word to pick it up? I don't know about your kids, but my kids, they have to hear it once. As soon as they hear it once, they pick it up. And you know how many times they need to hear please and thank you, or hey, get up and, acknowledge that there's an adult around and all of the positive stuff. You know how many times? Hundreds of times before they pick it up. We're no different from kids. All we need is one bad attitude or one bad idea to sink in to bring us down. So when you have a made-up mind, you focus on your wins. You don't let all of that negative stuff affect you, the negative talk around you, okay, or anything like that. Look, earlier I told you how I go out and do your job. In some cases I go out, you guys know I've been out there with you. Some of you guys I've crawled under houses with, and I've done stuff. Why? Because I have a made-up mind, and no one is going to stop it. No tech, no manager, no channel, no one. Okay, a made-up mind is a made-up mind. Not even low calls, guys. Another story, we had one of the divisions that was complaining about the number of calls they had. And they were just complaining. This was, one of the, not the California locations, but another one. And they just said, man, and everybody in that whole shop was singing the blues, guys. I mean, it was such a negative environment. So I made up my mind. I said, I'm going to go out there regardless. I don't care if we get one call that day. One call for the whole shop. I'm going to be on that call, and I'm going to give it 120, 150%. And we're going to hit our goal this week, whatever that goal is. I don't care if we get one call a day. I got out there early in the morning, took a flight out, boom, flew out, got there in my uniform. The day before, all I did is listen to motivational talks, thinking about the numbers, pumping myself up. And next day I got out there, we had a meeting with the team, boom, we got out there, man. I stayed that evening all the way until, I don't know what time, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. I was still out with guys, turning rocks, looking for numbers. First call we went out to, we ended up landing $6,000, $7,000. That week, guys, the shop closed over $130,000, $140,000, $50,000, where they weren't doing that for 2-3 weeks in that shop. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody was just singing. And all of a sudden, the momentum hit, and jobs were closing left and right. Boom, we sold another one. We sold another one. We sold another one. It was probably $30,000 or $40,000 by the first or second day. And before I left, because the next day I said, I'm not leaving until we hit 40 grand. I ended up calling my wife going, all right, we hit the number. I got my flight. I'm heading back out. So this was the next day in the afternoon or whatever it was. And I got home at 7, 8, 9 o'clock that night, knowing that, guys, that 2 days we did it. It didn't matter. We turned the whole shop around. We turned the whole mindset around. What I'm trying to say, guys, is if you have a made-up mind, you're a technician. It don't matter if your channel is down that day. It don't matter if your operations manager is having a bad day. It don't matter if the call volume is low that day. It has no effect on a made-up mind. A made-up mind is a force of nature. Guys, it's a force of nature. And I know technicians with made-up minds that are doing $150,000, $200,000 a month as a technician. You guys want to know of a guy with a made-up mind with a big why? I mean, you go talk to David every single month, 150, 200,000, 125,000. You tell me that this gentleman does not have his mind made up. He has a handful of calls, doesn't care what the heck it is. He doesn't even ask what is the problem. All he does is, give me a call, let me go. And he goes out there, boom, 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 one after the next. Why? Because his mind is made up. If his channel's having a bad day, which he usually doesn't, it's because, and he has a made-up mind, he's still going to hit a job. Doesn't matter, because his mind is made up. Today, guys, I'm asking you, I'm challenging you, make up your mind. Don't look back. Once you've made up your mind, don't look back. Make up your mind to be the best at what you're doing. Put a number in your mind and go out there, guys, and run the 5 keys. Use the 5 keys to open those doors. The training we do, the TNT and the boot camp. Use the 5 keys, use the steps, use the options, accomplish the goals that you made up your mind to accomplish. A long time ago, we got married, my wife and I, when we got married, we had a talk and we said, listen, divorce is not an option. We spoke about families, we talked about families, and we saw families that had kids that grew up in divorced homes and stuff like that. And not that, guys, I'm trying to put anybody down. I mean, if you've had a marriage that went bad, please don't take this as offensive, because I'm not talking bad about you. I'm just telling you, when my wife and I had a made-up mind, what that was about, right? When we got married, we decided we're never going to divorce. That's it. We made up our mind, and this marriage is going to work. Through thick and thin, it's going to work. And we've had some challenges, guys, not mainly because of me and not her, but we've had some challenges. I was a very angry guy when I was younger. Things would really upset me, words, comments, whatever it was. I had triggers all over. I mean, you said a word that would have upset me, I would have flown off the handle. So, I had a lot of growing up to do. I know one thing that we did when we made up our mind that we're never going to divorce, we never, ever, ever, got close to it, but we never did, right? Today we're standing on 23 years of marriage, and that 23 years is on a mountain of failures, on a mountain of disappointments, on a mountain of things that didn't work. But when we made up our mind that we were going to stay married for the rest of our lives, we never looked back. We said, look, through thick and thin, we're going to make this happen. And sometimes it got really, really close, guys, to the point where I thought she was going to leave me. I thought, this is it. We made up our mind, but I don't know if she's going to put up with this anymore. I better change and become a better person if I want this marriage to work. So what I did, I went out and got books and read about books. I went and got, all kinds of stuff about how to be a better husband, how to be better this, better that. I studied, I read. I got close to a point where I was so down because of who I was. I turned everywhere. And finally, when I turned to God, my life changed. My life changed completely, 150, 180%. But my point is, guys, a made-up mind is a made-up mind. You never, ever, ever go back. You become a winner as a result of the power of a made-up mind. Yeah, there's winners and there's losers, guys. Believe me, there's winners and there's losers. And winners are made up of all kinds of losses. But the difference is, this is the key difference between a made-up mind, a winner, and a loser. A winner also loses as well, but a winner never gives up. That's the difference. You know what happens with the people that lose? The ones that lose, they quit. They quit. That's the difference. They never go back because they've never really made their mind up. They never said, no matter what, I'm going to be a champion at this. I'm going to be the best at this. I have another story I want to share. This is a story of a man who made up his mind. And it's a simple story of a guy. His name is Gunnery Sergeant Carlos Hathcock. Gunnery Sergeant Carlos Hathcock was one of the most decorated men in the Vietnam War. He was a Marine. He was the Marine Corps' #1 sniper, in fact. He was consistently in harm's way, constantly. He put himself in harm's way to save other people. He completed 4 tours, guys, 4 tours, and he constantly, risked his life for others. So he packs his bags because he's done with his tours, and he's ready to go home. He's got a chest full of medals because he's done so well, and his bags are packed, and he's ready to go. And he gets a call from the highest general at the time, the highest level of general at the time, and said, hey, we have one more assignment for you. And he said, okay, what is it? Drops his bags. The general says, look, the war is over. We have to deploy our troops out of Vietnam. And he said, this is, any time the troops leave a war, it's one of their highest risk point times in war, because as they're leaving, they're the most vulnerable. Tens of thousands of people die, GIs die, while they're actually deployed, while they're leaving to go back home. And there's this one Vietnam general, and he's planning on doing damage to the Americans. He was assembling a plan that would put tens of thousands of troops at risk when they were leaving Vietnam. So they brought Gunnery Sergeant Carlos Hathcock and said, we have one final assignment that will perhaps save tens of thousands of GIs. And he said, what is it? He said, this is what we need to do. By the way, this is a suicide mission. There's nobody out there that we think could do this job except you. And even with you, the chances of coming out alive are very thin. And he said, what is it? He said, okay, we're going to drop you off behind enemy lines late at night. There's this field, 2,500-yard field, that is covered with their snipers. And at the end of this field is a area where this general comes out and he does his stretches in the morning. And he does his stretches in the mornings and this exercise, Vietnamese exercise. And he goes, we need you to get close enough so you can actually kill this general. When you kill this general, it will take the Vietnamese army so much time to reassemble another plan that we'll get our guys out of there and they won't be able to attack them. He said, I'll take it. They tell him, look, this field is covered with their snipers. So you have to crawl in full camo gear so slow. It's going to take you 4 days to get to the right spot where you can actually kill the general. 4 days of crawling on your belly, sometimes slower than a snail, so you're going undetected. So he goes, they drop him, and they said, okay, once the mission is done, if you can come out alive, you got to run back as quickly as you can. You got 4 hours to get back to where we dropped you off, launch this balloon, and then we'll pick you up and we'll fly you out of there. He says, okay, they drop him off. He starts crawling on his belly. It takes him 4 days. One thing they didn't tell him, that this field is covered in fire ants. Fire ants that will eat your flesh alive. It's just covered in it. So as he's crawling, these fire ants are eating his flesh. Imagine the pain of millions of fire ants all over his body, just eating up his flesh. And he crawls on his belly for 4 days without food, without water, and finally gets to the perfect point. And then he looks up and the general walks out, this Vietnamese general, he walks out and he points a sniper and he shoots and he kills the general, right? He kills the general, and then he turns around and goes back out of the field exactly the way they told him and gets to the point where he launches the balloon. They pick him up and they bring him back. And as he's telling the story, as he's telling the story, the guy that's interviewing him asks him, man, how did you do it? What was the thing that got you to do this? He goes, I made up my mind. I made up my mind. My mind was made up. I was not going to let tens of thousands of soldiers die at the end of war. I wasn't going to let that happen. I made up my mind. He goes, whenever I was going through the highest pain where these ants were eating me up alive and I had no food in my stomach and I had no water to drink, but I kept going. He goes, I had a made up mind. He goes, when I started losing my mind because wealth developed and I was starting to get goofy and I couldn't really see myself, I would have to catch myself and tell myself that, man, I got to do this for my country, for my soldiers. I have a made-up mind. Let me tell you, this man possesses nothing you or I don't possess. Okay, he's made out of the same, flesh as we are. He's the same kind of person. We're all the same kind of person. If he could do it, you could do it. We don't have to crawl through, all of that and put ourselves at risk like that, right? Because we're not at war. But if we have a made-up mind, okay, and if you decide that your mind is made up, you have to choose, and you can accomplish anything, guys, anything. Okay, none of us have control over our circumstances. Our circumstances are our circumstances. Good things happen, or bad things happen to good people all the time. Bad things happen to good people all the time. We have no control over that. But what we do have control over is our thoughts, is our actions, and is our attitude. And this is what I believe. I believe that if you have a made-up mind and you make a decision, plus making a decision, it's going to equal to better results. So I decided a long time ago, back in August of 2018, when we had our big event in Pasadena where we had hundreds of people that got trained within a 4-day period. I made a decision to create 99 Millionaires. And that decision was that I wanted to be a hero in the plumbing industry, in the plumbing and drain cleaning industry. I made my mind up about this a long time ago. And I said that I'm going to create 99 millionaires because, we've created about 10 or 12 millionaires, some guys that became billionaires, okay, because of working with our company, working in harmony with our company, in alignment with our company. And I said, I'm going to 10x that. We're going to 10 times that. I want to impact 100 people, and I want them to tell me that, you know what, because of a result of working with John or working with this company or whatever the case is, I became wealthy. I became a millionaire. And right now I'm taking massive, massive action. What did I start doing after that? I wrote a book because I believe that I need to attract hungry people that want to come in out of this industry, that want to be wealthy, that want, me to work with them to help them to accomplish their goals, right? Then what did I do? I made a list of everything I have to do in order to accomplish that. And today, every week I sit down on Sundays, I take 2-3 hours on Sundays to plan my week. That's always in front of me. I'm always looking at that and going, what can I do to make that happen? What can I do to make that happen? because I want to be a hero in this industry. And we are going to put out 88 shops within the next 10 years. And we are going to be, one of the best known names, okay, out there, okay, known for what we do, known for the quality of work we do, the amount of work we do, known by creating 99 millionaires. We are going to do that because my mind is made up and I'm never going to give up. And there might be setbacks, but I'm never going to give up because my mind is made up. And I'm asking you today to do the same thing, to make up your mind. Because look, guys, here's one thing I know. Everywhere you go, there you are. Everywhere you go, there you are. There's problems everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go. There's going to be problems. But a made-up mind doesn't give up, guys. It doesn't give up. Everyone wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die to get there. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die to get there. And what do I mean by that? We all want the fruits that come with going to heaven, but nobody wants to put the work in. Nobody wants to sacrifice the time, energy, discipline, whatever it is that you have to do to get there. And everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die to get there. I have a goal, guys, and I made up my mind, and we're going to accomplish this goal. And part of these meetings that we're doing every single week, I'm doing with you guys, with the channel leaders, with the operations leaders. I take time and plan because I want to impact the company in a positive way. Okay, I made up my mind. Every division in our company is going to be multi-profitable. Every channel leader, technician that's working here has a chance to become a multi-millionaire. I'm going to bring some of the best, teachings, whatever it is, whatever resource I have to reach out to and get, I'm going to bring it, I'm going to put it in front of everybody, but it's up to you to take advantage of it. Not everybody is going to take advantage of it. Let me tell you, not everybody on the other end of this phone is going to take advantage of it. I'm here to serve you guys, and I'm going to do it till I die. That's it. I have no choice because I've made up my mind. So there's a book out there, guys, called Man's Search for Meaning, which I highly recommend. If you guys are into reading, buy the book. If you're into audiobooks, go to audible.com, open up an account, and download this book. Okay, it was written by a guy named Viktor Frankl. And Viktor Frankl was a psychologist, and he was in a concentration camp, a Jewish concentration camp, back under the Nazis. Okay, Viktor Frankl, even though he's in a concentration camp and he's a psychologist, he noticed a pattern over and over again. Here's a psychologist, he noticed something happening. He saw the trains of people, trains pulling up with herds of Jews pulling out of the train, okay? And some would get out there, some looked healthy. They just got picked up from the streets. And they looked healthy, and they wouldn't last a day. They'd die the next day. And some that looked like zombies, like months and, they've been weeks and weeks where they've deprived of food, water, they've been beaten, and all of this stuff. And they're weak, but they're still living. And he's just like wondering, what the heck, dude? I see people coming out healthy as heck, dying right away. And then I see these people that are just, they're just hanging in there. And you know what he noticed? He started interviewing all of these people that have been alive for a long period of time to see what it is that they possessed that the others didn't. And you know what he noticed after the interview? Everybody that survived, okay, had a big why. They had a strong why. They had something, some anchor that was so big. Their why was so big that they survived long after that. And their how was very big. And some of them were, they had kids that were hiding, okay, maybe with somebody that's protecting them, but they got caught and they wanted to reunite with their kids. Some of them that had family members that left Germany already, and they were on their way out, but they got caught, but they know their family's waiting for them. Or their why was something great, something big, and they were hanging in there, going through all of the struggles that they were going through because their why was big enough. The fact is that, no matter what your struggle is, if you have a big enough why, okay, if your why is if you have a why, your how becomes easy. You will find a way to get it done. If you have a big enough why, okay, you will find a way to achieve it. Your how will appear. And here's your homework, guys. Here's what I need everybody to do. I need you to think about a time where you had a big enough why, or you had made up your mind and how far it took you. In the past, find a time where you had a big goal and you made up your mind that you're going to accomplish that and what you went through to accomplish it. And then what I want you to do is I want you to make up your mind right now to become the best at what you're doing. Make up your mind to become the best, at whatever your position is, whatever you're doing, whatever area in your life. If it's in your marriage, if it's in your work, if it's in your finances, if it's in your relationships with your kids or whatever it is, you make up your mind and look at the power of the made-up mind and go through and take the action that you have to go through to create the results that you're looking for. Today is the day, guys, that you're going to double your results. You're going to triple your results. That you're going to stick to your commitment and you're going to do it and you're going to make the decisions, behind your made-up mind to do whatever you have to accomplish that goal. I challenge you guys right now to make up your mind and do it, because I've made up my mind and I'm going to be here, guys. I'm here for you guys. I'm here to help you guys accomplish your goals, and I'm going to be here for a very long time, standing behind everybody that represents this brand. I'm going to help the industry. I'm going to help the brand. Not only our brand, we're going to impact the entire industry, because I made up my mind that I want to be a hero to plumbers. I want to be a hero to drain cleaners. I want to be a hero to the people on the other end of this phone. I want to be a hero, and I want to solve the problems that our industry is noticing or experiencing. And I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do it with everybody's help. So I want to thank all of you for listening, talk about my passions and be here, and all the things that you're doing, all the hard work you're doing out there. I want to thank you guys for that. Got one more point, guys, to make, and then we're going to read the blessing and we're going to close the meeting. I ask everybody to please take your phones, take your cell phones, and record a 30-second, 20-second, 10-second, 5-second testimonial from your customers. Take your client, ask them if they'll stand next to the van. If they can't walk next to the van or they can't get there, do it do it in their house. It doesn't matter. Take your cell phones, your Android, Samsung, iPhone, whatever kind of smartphone you have, or take the iPad. Doesn't matter. You could take the company iPad. Put it on landscape, sideways. Go into the videos and ask the client this one question. How was your experience with Rooter Hero Plumbing? And then hit the record button. And let the customer talk. Let them tell you how their experience was. Record them. 30 seconds, guys, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever length it is. Stop it, and then email it or text it to me. Email or text it to me. And another thing, guys, is everybody now has the Podium app on their iPads. I need you guys to go. An email is going to come out to your personal email addresses. I need you to go set up an account with Podium, and then I need you to get your customers to give us reviews on Google, Yelp, whatever it is. Guys, you guys want tons and tons of calls. We've gathered up thousands of reviews, thousands of 5-star reviews in the last, 6, 7, 8 months. Thousands of 5-star reviews. We need 5, 10, 15,000 5-star reviews. And we only did this by texting customers after the job's done. But now we got to get purposeful about it, guys. We need you after every service call, a 30-second video and the Podium app and a 5-star review. I'm going to give each one of you $5 for each one of those reviews. I know it's not a lot of money. $5 for a video, $5 for a Podium review. But let me tell you guys, it goes a long way. You take 2 calls a day, that's $10 a day, that's lunch money. No big deal. I know it's no big deal, but the impact is going to be greater when you guys have tons of calls to go on to. And that's what we're accomplishing by doing this. So I urge you to download the Podium app to do the videos and start, sending me the videos, and then the Podium app will automatically gather the videos under your name, and I'll know who it is, and we'll make sure that we square up the $5 bills with you guys. All right, great. So that's all I got for today, guys. I'm going to go ahead and read the blessing. May the roads rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine soft upon your face, and may the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Thank you guys for everything you do. I really appreciate all of you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.